back here again with your Garmin 430. So
yeah,
the last
10 years later? No.
Yeah, just about nine years later. It was 2000.
9 years later.
9 years later, exactly. We've all yeah, a bit older. We've learned a lot, both of us, on this thing. You've developed much more proficiency on it because you've been flying it quite a bit since then. So, but let's see. So remember what we did with this. We know that the database is good. It's August 2021, so we're good for IFR.
And today is July the 30th. So we're good for IFR.
Okay button.
Yep. It's just going to take a while.
Oh.
I'm me.
Killer. All right.
It's magic finger.
Oh, perfect. Yes, you're right. All right. Well, do you want to do it again? Because I'm having trouble with
okay.
it. So the VOR, as we showed the last time, the CDI is working properly, and it's giving us half left, half out. So that's all cool.
Yeah.
So this time, what we want to do is last time we talked about all the stuff on this side, all the audio stuff, and we talked about the 340. The 340 audio panel. So this time we want to talk about the digital side now, which is really these buttons down here. Well, the CDI we've talked about already, but the OBS message is pretty clear. That's a message, and you saw one coming up. Flight plan procedures. And then these guys down here, and particularly these buttons, which is really the ones that give us a lot of the function. So if you remember, so the OBS is actually useful when you're flying if you want to turn your GPS more or less into a VOR, because you now can control the magenta line with the OBS on the VOR. So it's kind of an interesting thing. You can create yourself a track in any direction you want with that. Well, not really. That's kind of specialized for IFR stuff. FPL is flight plan, and we'll talk about that in a bit, and procedure for IFR again. So the big thing, I think, on this side is this button over here. There are 4 different sections in here. We're in the nav section. There is also the waypoint section. There is the auxiliary section, and there is the nearest section. So let's look at the nav section first. So the second, you can see these little pages. These are the pages that you control. The big button controls which section you're in, and the little button controls which page you're in. So first page, which is the default page, when you hit clear or you kind of get out of another page, you end up here often. And it's kind of a digital CDI. Is
that a convention to say it's a section and a page?
That's my convention. Okay. I think that's probably is in the manual. So we have, this is a digital CDI. So it will actually tell you if you have a section that if you've set up a track, if you're on it or not, and it's basically the same thing as your CDI over there. Second page is the map, and the third page gives you terrain information, and the fourth page gives you frequencies in the area, etc. So let's go back to this one here. What I forgot to mention in here is that there are 2 databases in here. One of them is the terrain database, which doesn't change very, very often. The other one, as you know, is the IFR database, and it changes every 28 days. Right. You have to update it at that point in time. So it's important if you're going to be flying IFR to have those very much updated. So nav page, pretty obvious. You can change your KIL by using the range button. Basically, the up arrow kind of makes you, as if you were kind of flying up, and it gives you a wider view. And then vice versa. Direct to button is interesting because if you want to just go to somewhere, then it will. That's really how you use it. Now, an interesting combination. And I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit on my description here. If I go to the nearest, this shows us the nearest airports. It can show you the nearest intersection, IFR intersections, NDB, VOR. And user waypoints. So if I wanted to go, for instance, to the nearest airport, the nearest practical airport would be CYND. So I can just hit the button here to have a cursor, and then I'm moving down to, with the big button, down to to there, and if I hit direct to, it's going to give me a track right there. So that's that's the easy way of using it. But if I go back, if I kind of get out of the cursor, I'm skipping around here a little bit. I shouldn't do that, but still. We could also use direct to button and then just enter the information in here. So because we're in Canada, it enters CY right away, and then we can enter CY and D. So you see it takes a little bit longer to do this, and if I hit enter, it will activate it, and then done. So I can also, I'll just back out of here. Back out, and then clear. So what do how do I back out of this? Clear, you have to hold the buttons down. Okay, all right, got it. And you see if you hit clear, it brings you back to this track. So, yeah, you're right. You have the right finger. You know the machine. So I did want to talk about that, and I have. So if I wanted to, so let's go back then. Let's actually do start by doing a route. So just because I'm lazy, I'm going to use go to CYRP carp. A little bit farther. CYRP. So I'm going to do a direct to carp. And when I hit the button, it asks me, do I want to activate it? Yep. So it actually brings me back to this, and you can see that CDI is fine because I haven't moved yet. If I go back here, now I can see that I have a magenta line. And if I look on flight plan, at this point in time, it's telling me that I'm going to carp. So, but that's not really a very useful, really useful flight plan. So what I can do here, again, get a waypoint. And for instance, I may want to go to through YOW, which is the Ottawa VOR. And this is how basically we would create a flight plan to anywhere we want to go. Alphabetical order has always been my challenge. Okay, YOW, Ottawa, VOR, and now I can put in carp if I want to. Again, just start turning, and then.
Now, would you do that before you started your engines and save it, or would you do it basically after your run-up?
That's a good question. Well, I wouldn't do it after the run-up. I would certainly do it before moving, just in case there's something wrong with the database or whatever, something like that. So now I've set up to do it with, depends on how good your battery is. Yep. We're doing this for a video. Right. It's not necessarily recommended to do that. So now we have that. We have YOW as a. Oh, it's interesting. It's not actually showing it as in the flight plan.
Maybe you have to hit enter first.
No, it's active flight plan.
Well, it's always good to have these things happen.
Yeah, we're learning something here. So if I go the other flight plan, no, that's not. That's the recorded flight plan. So I think it's because we have the direct to, and the direct to overrides the flight plan. So if I change, the other way I could do this is go. Yeah, sorry, you're right. I think it may be direct to YOW, enter, and then it will send it to YOW and then to carp.
You're good.
Yeah, something I should mention that the direct to overrides the flight plan. So if you're in the middle of a flight plan, I think you were talking about that earlier.
Whoever's watching it will remember that.
Yeah. But when we talked about that earlier, you were saying we could always jump to the final approach fix,
right?
And that's how you would actually do that. So now, next step. So we've reviewed the nav. The waypoint tells you a lot about the airport. It tells you what it is. It tells you the elevation. It tells you its position, etc.
Don't forget to tell that going over here to get the frequencies.
Yes, of course.
Rather than going, it's quicker.
Yeah,
to get it that way,
rather than pulling out
trying to go through your
Now the big thing here, you can do fuel planning, you can do trip planning, the whole calculation of density, things like that, which are beyond the scope of this. But second page here will have rain prediction. So if you're actually doing an IFR flight, even though it's a WASP machine, it's good to do rain prediction to see if the satellite is going to be good for your destination.
Right.
And then, well, finally, we've talked about Nearest. Now, Nearest, we've seen how it works to set up a direct to an airport. You could do it during an IFR flight. You could actually create your own route if you want to do it. A VOR, we've used that. We did use YOW, and sorry, that was NDBs rather. YOW, and then there's a Nearest user waypoints, and you can also get Nearest information center or control center. And then, so that's basically that. Now let's go back to the last item in here, which would be the procedures.
Right. This is for IFR.
This is for IFR, so we're going to, or you could do it VFR if you want to, but so we want to select an approach.
To CARP?
To CARP, yeah.
Okay.
So you know how to do this. So
and because the winds right now are from
seems to be the northeast, yeah.
They're from the west. They're from the west.
Okay.
So we're going to take runway 10, right? RNAV for runway 10.
Well, that might not be the best for the winds, but we can always do we can always do something. There's only the one RNAV at CARP, so
yeah, we only have that. Eh?
And then we could do
we're coming in from the north, so SRUV is the right one.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then we can alert it.
Yep.
Not activate it.
Yeah. So you can see it.
And then you check it.
Yeah, so you can see it in the flight plan now. It actually shows.
I don't know if I'm blocking the camera.
No, that's fine. That's good.
And everything's there.
Yep.
Including the overshoot.
Yes.
So we're laughing.
No, exactly. So if we were to activate it, then which we would do by going to procedure again.
Procedure and activate approach.
And then activate approach. You could also select the departure. I'm sorry, you're right. Activate approach. And then it actually now is activated.
Here.
And if we had an autopilot, it would just follow that.
Yeah.
And then that would be fantastic.
And
so,
what I wanted to
excuse me.
tell you is, if we were airborne and I wanted to go to the final approach fix, then I just have to use the cursor, scroll down to it,
and then hit direct to,
and then it says activate.
Yep.
And I just have to hit enter, and it goes basically
direct to OD room. Yeah, it tells you right there. It's now direct
to the final approach fix.
Yeah.
Because that happens sometimes where you have to.
Well, you might get a clearance direct to that.
Yeah.
So that's essentially is we've covered the digital part. I mean, we could go down into all these menus. That helps, but I think the best thing to do that is to just practice on your own machine rather than to set it up yourself. But we've covered. Well, there's message as well, but we don't have any message, so we won't do anything. OBS, we could just for the heck of it show what OBS does here. So I'm going to press it. And actually, that's not going to work because we are in it just goes into suspend mode. So that's not okay. So, any other ideas or things that we could tell people about this?
No, I know from my perspective, flying VFR.
Yeah.
If you want to go, let's say to Ottawa, we were just going to go straight to the end here at Nearest.
Yeah, but then you need to go back to the airports.
To basically, if you're missed approach and you have to go to your alternate, this would be the best way of getting it. So if I wanted to go to, let's say, Gatineau, just hit enter, direct to, and activate it, and then away I go to Gatineau. And then again, you have to hit procedures and select the approach at Gatineau. We'll take runway 09 and DDAR mode.
And now,
you can basically check it. Everything's there. You're good. And then hit the procedure. This is the part that's activate, and away you go.
Yep, good.
Right?
You got it. Yep. So that's a simple way of implementing a flight to an alternate. You've got a message here. Let's see what the message is all about. Scheduler message, reset high. Okay.
And back off. Now, if I hit clear and then go over, I'm now going to DDAR to
Yep.
Gatineau.
Yep. Absolutely. Good.
I think that hitting the clear button to get back to, if you get lost,
Yes.
hitting the clear button.
It brings you back. It always brings you back to the default screen, which is
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
This one here.
And I think that's a good.
So a lot of people prefer to use this one because it gives you a clear view of where you need to be going, correcting either to the left or to the right, whatever. And others prefer to do the visual aspects of.
And the other thing
side.
that other videos show is when you've got your menu, you can actually change what
Change
you
the
have.
displays, yes.
The displays.
To the fields that are displayed. Yeah,
But if you're in a
absolutely.
group of people, you have to agree on what it is you're doing.
Absolutely. Cool.
So we're good.
Well, thank you very much, Al.
Well, you're
This
welcome.
has been good.
You're
This has
welcome.
been good. We've been talking about doing this for quite a while, and now we
9
finally.
years.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks
Well, I
a
hope
lot.
people, basically play around with it. It's the only way you get to learn.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Well,
Okay.
Shut this down, and then see if the battery's still.
Still working?
Yeah. Do you have a voltmeter? Yeah.
Yeah, over here. I don't have the voltmeter.